Hello, everybody. How are you doing today? I guess we will go ahead and start off by introducing everyone following the list of attendees so that everybody can see who is involved at the corporate and board level. So we'll start off with Bonnie.
Hi, everybody. I'm Bonnie Stringer, Society Exchequer. I go in Society by Marcel Aurelian. I live in Kingdom of Glenavon. Go Rams.
Yes.
And it looks like we're going to be going just kind of alphabetically down our staff list. So Bridget, you are next.
Good morning.
And Bridget, being our farthest away corporate officer, might be having some trouble. So maybe we'll come back to you. So Carolyn?
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Carolyn Richardson. I'm the corporate treasurer. I go by the SCA name of Tejaba of Green Lake, and I live in Kaid and have pretty much my entire SCA life.
Darcy, you're muted, I think.
I keep forgetting we're going by modern alphabet. Hi, I'm officially I'm Darcy O'Neill, but I really genuinely go by Riordan McGregor most of the time. My pronouns are they, them, and I have been out here on the left coast in the Kingdom of Kaid for my entire SCA life. It is my honor and pleasure to be the editor of Tournaments Illuminating.
Yay.
Hello, I am Jennifer Krochmal. I am Director Seat C, which means that I'm the Ombudsman for the Kingdoms of Calontir, North Shield, Outlands, and for IT and Communications Committee. I reside in the Kingdom of Atlantia, and I am known as Kalisa Alexandrovna.
And I'm the other Jennifer, Jennifer Smith. I am the Society Herald in the SCA. I'm known as Emma de Featherston, and I reside in the Kingdom of Onstiora.
Hi, everybody. Good morning, I think. My name is John Fulton. I am the president of the SCA. My SCA name is John the Bear Killer, and I live in the Kingdom of Glenavon. Go Rams.
Morning, my name is Eben Kurtzman. In the SCA, I'm Brock of Alderden. I live in Kaid, and I am the attorney for the SCA at this time.
Hello, everyone. I'm KT Shepard. I go by Shep. In the SCA, I am Ulrich von Brandenburg from the Kingdom of Meridies. I am the director for Seat F. I'm the ombudsman for Onstiora, Ontier, Trimaris, and the Peerage Committee.
Hi, I'm Leslie Luther Fulton. In the SCA, I'm Jane Ballard of Inglewood. I'm the executive assistant to the board, and I live in Glenavon. Go Rams.
Go Rams.
Go Rams.
Hello, I'm Liz Schreier. I'm the Society Seneschal. In the SCA, I am known as Elisa Inindirmada, and I live in the Kingdom of Calontir.
Hi, I'm Louise Ducray. I'm the Vice President for Corporate Operations and Member Services. I'm out in the Bay Area, California. And I don't have an SCA name yet, still.
Go Bay Area.
Mark.
My apologies, things are scrolling slowly. My name is Mark Falcon. I am Director-elect for Seat G. In the SCA, I am Duke Martin Lochner in the Kingdom of Trimaris.
My name is Natalie Degerstrom, and in the Society, my name is Saruka Bint Lazari. I live in the East Kingdom, in the great state of Maine, where it is getting quite colorful. Leaves are lovely. I am Seat G Director, and this is actually my last meeting. Very excited. And I am the Ombudsman for Meridies, Atlantia, the Middle, as well as our Marshallate community.
I am Doug Boehner, living in Austin, Texas. I'm a director for CE. I am ombudsman for West, East, and Kaid, and the Herald. I'm Master Phelan Gervais in the Society in the Kingdom of Onstein.
Hey everyone, I'm Ross Regner. I'm the chairman of the board, and in the SCA, I am known as Count Bartholomew of Illyria, where I live and reside in Meridies with my wife, my wonderful puppy dog Biggs, almost 3-year-old named James, and a brand new baby that kind of looks like a wet cat.
I am Sam Davis. I am the Information Technology Manager for the SCA. My SCA name is Thomas Blackmore, and I live in the Kingdom of Meridies.
I'm Sarah Noble McGee. I am your Minister for Arts and Sciences. In the Society, I am Hildegard Bergeron, and I live in the Kingdom of Atlantia.
Is Katie here, Ross? She shows up.
I think she's on the phone, John.
Stacy, why don't you go ahead and go?
Happy to do it. Hi, I'm Stacy Hall. I am the Emergency Replacement Deputy to the Society Seneschal. In the SCA, I'm known as Gwendolyn Naholyathun, and I live in the Kingdom of Meridies.
And trying this again. Hi, everyone. I'm Bridget Costello. I'm Communications. I in the Society, I am Anne de Tournay, and I'm coming to you from the wee early hours in the Kingdom of Lockhart.
Yay. Thank you for joining us, Bridget. And we just had a late arrival, Margaret Ladd. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi. Can everyone hear me okay? Okay. My first time using GoToMeeting. I'm Margaret Ladd, mundanely known as Megan Ladd. I am the new Society Chatelaine. I'm from the Kingdom of Atlantia. Just got home from War of the Wings this morning and very excited to be here today.
Very good. Thank you everyone for making your introductions. And is there a motion to open the meeting? Director Shepard?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we open the October 16th quarterly meeting of the Society for Creative Anachronism Board of Directors.
Is there a second? Seconded by Natalie Dagerstrom. Then by consensus, we will open the meeting and take agenda items out of order as necessary. First up, we have approval of minutes. Leslie?
Mr. Chairman, I would like to present the July 24th, 2022 quarterly meeting minutes, the August 29th, 2022 conference call meeting minutes, and the September 26th, 2022 conference call meeting minutes for your approval.
Very good. Thank you, Leslie. Is there a motion? The chair recognizes Director Crockmall.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we Approve the July 24th, 2022 quarterly meeting minutes, the August 29th, 2022 conference call meeting minutes, and the September 26th, 2022 conference call meeting minutes as presented by Leslie Luther Fulton.
Very good. And I see a second from Director Shepherd. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Moving on from approval of minutes, we have recurring business. Liz, status changes?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm happy to report that we have something other than just dissolutions this quarter. First off, in the Kingdom of Avakal, the Shire of Eresgard, which is Cransbrook, British Columbia, they have moved them from incipient to full status. This does not require approval, but does require that the board acknowledge it so that it can appear in the minutes. So I would ask that the board so acknowledge.
Thank you. We do acknowledge the receipt of that.
Next, I have a lateral change of status in Callantyre, the former canton of Axtreut, which is Ames, Iowa. It was a canton of Cordon-Nuit. By the consensus of the membership, they would like to switch their status to Shire. Again, this is a thing that I approve, but it needs to appear in the minutes. So I ask the board to acknowledge that change of status.
Thank you. It is so acknowledged. And hello to the folks I know in Ames, Iowa.
Yeah, they've talked about that off and on for years. Okay, and in the Kingdom of the East, we have a new barony, the barony of Hartshorn Dale, which is Eastern Pennsylvania, was advanced from Shire. Again, that is in the purview of my office to approve it, but the board needs to acknowledge it so it can appear in the minutes. So I ask that the board acknowledge that change of status.
So noted, and that is acknowledged. Thank you.
Okay. Moving on to status changes that do require board action. In North Shield, the canton of, I guess it's pronounced Blackmere, which is the northern suburbs of the Twin Cities in Minnesota, they have asked to be dissolved back into their barony. They don't have sufficient people separate in the canton to keep it going, so I ask that the board act on that dissolution request. That does require board action.
Thank you, Liz. Is there a motion? Director Krochmal.
Mr. Chairman, with regret, I ask that we accept and approve the dissolution of the canton of Blackmere in North Shield as presented by the Society Seneschal.
Is there a second? Director Shepherd seconds. All in favor? Any opposed? No opposed. The motion passes unanimously. Liz?
Okay, also in North Shield, the Shire of Mystic-Waytrue, which is in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, is based around the town of Houghton. What they're doing is merging with the neighboring Shire of Skerriestrand, as the area, they've decided the area is too small to support two separate groups, but that requires the dissolution of Mystic-Waytrue. The other group is the one that is going to assume the title of Shire for the area. So I ask that the board approve that dissolution.
Thank you, Liz. Is there a motion? Director Krochmal.
Mr. Chairman, I ask that we approve the dissolution of the Shire of Mystic-Waytrue as presented by the Society Seneschal.
Is there a second? Director Bainter seconds. Is there any discussion? We'll move to a vote. All in favor? Motion. All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Liz?
Okay, one more. This is a very similar situation. In Ethelmark, the Shire of Stormsport, which is Erie County, Pennsylvania, is merging with the Shire of Hunter's Home, which is just south of there around Sharon, Pennsylvania. And again, Hunter's Home is going to be the one that they keep the name and so forth of. So the board will need to formally dissolve the Shire of Stormsport to complete that. So I'm requesting that that happen.
Thank you, Liz. Is there a motion? Director Dagerstrom.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we dissolve the Shire of Stormsport as presented by the Society Seneschal.
Is there a second? Seconded by Director Krochmal. Any discussion? In that case, we'll move to a vote. All in favor? Any opposed? Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Moving on to quarterly meeting schedule. Louise?
Thank you. Yes, we have tentatively our next year of meetings are set the weekends of January 22nd, April 23rd, July 23rd, and October 22nd. With all corporate officers being invited, and our conference call for the next quarter. Our conference call is being set at November 21st and December 19th, 2022.
Okay, very good. And is there any objection to the quarterly meeting schedule as presented by our Vice President? Then by consensus, we accept that schedule. Thank you, Louise.
Point of inquiry. Yesterday we discussed potentially having meetings in person again. Do we want to discuss this now or a different part of the meeting?
By all means, Director Bainter, you have the floor.
That's probably not a good idea. I still have COVID brain. I just remembered that we had discussed the later half of the year potentially having in-person meetings.
We will be bringing it up later. It's part of my agenda, so we can discuss it then, if you like.
As long as it's covered, that's what I want to make sure.
All right, very good. Would anybody else like the floor? Okay, very good. Then we will move on to bank account authorizations. Louise.
Yep, currently all bank account authorizations that have come through to my office from the ever hardworking Bonnie have been processed, except for a few that we are still waiting on updated contact information for, but bank account authorizations are up to date.
Very good. Next item on the agenda is warrants, LLF.
There were no warrants to my knowledge presented for this quarter.
Very good. Thank you, Leslie.
Point of inquiry. Do you want to jump back and talk about invited guests? I don't think that was talked about.
I think that, yeah, we can go back and talk about invited guests. Louise mentioned that all corporate officers are going to be invited to the virtual meetings, and I think we accepted that by consensus, unless I'm mistaken.
I didn't.
That's okay.
Thank you.
Are there any objections to having all corporate officers invited to the virtual meetings? Just as a double check. All right, very good. Then we'll move on to ongoing projects, board recruiting, which is me. Please, if you have anybody that you think that would do well on the board, please nominate them. We have a lot of representation from the East Coast and the Southeast at the corporate level, but we would particularly love to see some more representation in the nominee pool from other underrepresented kingdoms, like from the West Coast and you know, the Midwest. So our recruitment efforts continue. I've sent out several letters to Kingdom Seneschals and crowns in kingdoms that are underrepresented, asking them directly to help nominate folks. So just a reiteration that if you could help the society, corporation, and board have a better representation, a more diverse representation by sending in some nominations. That would be very helpful. Thank you. And then board representation, Leslie?
Okay, much like it was mentioned earlier about the possible live in-person board meetings. The board and corporate officers and society officers are looking to set up, we've called them town meetings, we've called them meet and greets, opportunities at different events to let people meet the board members and meet the officers. I'll be sending out a notice to the involved individuals to see what their schedules are. The hope is to include this in their normally scheduled personal travel so that we don't have to take money out of the SCA budget for this. So we'll be looking at that. If there are any kingdoms that are interested in holding one of these panel discussions, if they could get in touch with me, I would appreciate it. And we can talk about the logistics of that. Thank you.
Thank you, Leslie. All right, I believe that moves us on to old business. Variances granted by the Society Seneschal. Liz?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have about 6, I think, that I granted since mid-August. First one is from Drachenwald. I granted a variance for the Born Fair event, which was held the week of August 5th through 12th in the Principality of Insula Draconis, to conduct business requiring prior announcement per corpora, despite not appearing in the Kingdom newsletter. It was published in the Principality newsletter with the required information. Kingdom Seneschal has promised that they won't skip the Kingdom newsletter next time. So I did grant that variance. I asked the board to uphold it.
Very good. Thank you, Liz. Is there a motion? Would anybody like the floor? Director Bainter.
Yes, I would move that we approve the variance for the Kingdom of Drachenwald for Bjorn Fair's event granted on August 15th, 2022.
Very good. And is there a second? Seconded by Director Krochmal. And any discussion? There being no discussion, we'll go ahead and move to a vote. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Liz?
Okay, next one is from Avakal. Avakal Kingdom law requires that all official branches hold at least one event a year, and the Shire of Bitter End, which is in Red Deer, Alberta, found itself unable to hold its Harvest Feast event during calendar year 2022 due to post-COVID issues, aftermath of COVID. So I granted a variance to exempt them for the calendar year 2022 from having to hold an event as required by Avakal law. I granted that variance 1st of September. I asked the board to uphold it.
Very well. Is there a motion? Chair recognizes Director Krochmal.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the variance granted by the Society Seneschal to allow the Shire of Bitter End to skip holding an event in 2022 as required by Avakal law that was granted on September 1st, 2022.
Very good. And is there a second? Seconded by Director Bainter. Any discussion? Then we'll move to a vote. All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Liz?
Okay, from On Tier. On Tier law requires that the Kingdom's Seneschal be physically present at Crown Tournament. The Kingdom's Seneschal came down with COVID right before the Crown Tournament and was unable to attend. It was held over Labor Day weekend. I granted that variance on September 1st. I would ask the board to uphold it.
Very good. Is there a motion? Director Shepherd.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we uphold the variance granted to the Kingdom of On Tier, requiring the Kingdom Seneschal to attend Crown List by the Society Seneschal granted on September 1st.
Okay, very good. And is there a second? Seconded by Director Degerstrom. Any discussion? There being no discussion, we'll go ahead and move to a vote. All in favor? All right, all opposed? Motion passes unanimously. I just want to take an opportunity to just remind everybody that's watching, let everybody know we do have an opportunity to review these variances and all these reports, all the paperwork well in advance. And so if it looks like a lot of this is very perfunctory, it's because we've had a long time to consider it and look over it. So just wanted to let you guys know that. Liz, next item of business.
Okay, similarly, from Atenvelt, their law requires that the consorts for Crown Tourney as well as the combatants be physically present at Crown Tourney. Their Crown Tourney was held September 17th. I was asked to grant a variance for 2 of the consorts to be absent from that tourney due to COVID again, which Atenvelt law, like I said, normally would require them to be present. It is worth noting that neither of the consorts emerged as Crown Princess, but that really wouldn't matter. People should not be attending events when they're exposed to COVID. So I would ask the board to grant that variance, please.
Very good. Is there a motion? Director Bainter.
I would move that we accept the variance granted for 2 consorts for Crown Tourney and Ottenveld as presented by Society Seneschal, granted September 15th.
Very good. Is there a second? Seconded by Director Shepherd. Any discussion? There being no discussion, go ahead and move to a vote. All in favor? All opposed? The motion passes unanimously. Liz?
Okay, also out of Atenvelt, there was the Kingdom Seneschal stepped down early. There was confusion over posting the position. Atenvelt law requires it be posted for 2 consecutive months in the Kingdom newsletter. I did grant them a variance to allow it to only appear in the October newsletter. I asked the board to deal with that variance.
Okay, is there any discussion or would anybody like the floor to make a motion? Director Shepherd.
I'm gonna make sure I was off mute. Liz, there's normally a chain of command that follows here. Your society, your deputy, your Kingdom Seneschal has a deputy, Kingdom emergency replacement or a deputy. Is that being followed currently?
The emergency deputy did step in, yes.
Okay, are they doing a good job?
I think they're doing fine as far as I can tell.
Then is there an emergency that requires us for a variance here?
I'm honestly not sure that it's an emergency as such. This arose out of a discussion that I had with the Crown.
Then is there a reason specifically to not follow Kingdom law?
The only reason I can think of is that since it's been published in October and it's too late for November, it would now be December and January. If we went back and said, okay, you got to publish it 2 months in a row. That's the only real complication there that I see.
Then I don't personally see a reason, unless the emergency replacement deputy is doing a poor job or can't fulfill that job, to grant this variance.
President Fulton?
Thank you, Director Shepard. That was very well said. So this is not a COVID variance.
No, it is not.
This is not a variance that will cause the kingdom undue stress. They just need to make sure they follow their own laws.
I believe that would probably be a fair assessment of the situation. Yes, the announcement was not properly posted in the, I believe an attempt was made to post it in September, but for some reason it fell through.
And you did tell all the kingdom seneschals that unless it's COVID related, we're going back to the old way we do things, which is follow our own rules.
I had been saying that, yes.
Thank you. I think Director Shepard is 100% correct.
Thank you, President Fulton. Would anybody else like the floor for discussion on this variance? Okay, I'd like to say something really quickly. I just want to point out that variances are in a world where COVID is not constantly causing issues. Variances are intended for us to be able to absorb emergencies that require changes to our rule sets. They should be unique and extenuating circumstances that lead to them. Otherwise, it would put an undue stressful burden on our seneschalate. And so I applaud both Director Shepard and President Fulton's comments that we need to start ratcheting back our variances, especially when it comes to anything related not related to COVID. So anybody else? Would anybody else like the floor? Okay, Director Bainter.
As a follow-on to that conversation or comment you just made, I'd also encourage kingdoms to review their kingdom law to see if there are wordings like this that could be improved in order to allow for more prompt or easier compliance with their own law. Sometimes it is difficult, and in this case, if you had said 2 months prior to the deadline, it may have been easily achieved as opposed to 2 consecutive months in the newsletter, since the deadline is then passed for the November. So things we need to think about as we're looking at our rule sets again as we come out of COVID.
Very good. Thank you, Director Bainter. Is there anybody else that would like the floor? Okay, so procedurally speaking, there is no motion on the floor, but the Society Seneschal has granted a variance temporarily. So we do need a motion either upholding or denying that variance. Director Krochmal?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we deny the variance granted to the Kingdom of Atenveld, allowing the grade officer position to only be posted for 1 month. It was granted on 9/15/2022, and I move that we deny that request, or deny the variance request.
Very good, and that motion is seconded by Director Shepard. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor, that is to say, all in favor of denying that variance? All opposed? The motion carries unanimously. Just point of clarification for our executive assistant. Did you get that? It's a little bit different than usual, but I'm sure you probably did. I just wanted to check in and make sure.
Motion to deny the variance granted to the Kingdom of Atenveld. We're good.
Very good. All right, thank you. Liz?
Okay, I will also inform the kingdom and make sure that they properly post the position. I have one more. As the board has directed that any further beyond December 1st COVID rules by kingdoms will require a variance. I have received one request for a variance like that. That's out of Ethelmark. They want a variance from the, I'm going to read what the Kingdom Seneschal wrote. Ethelmark would like to ask for a variance to the COVID policy to permit Ethelmark to require masks indoors based on high and substantial transmission rates of COVID-19 across West Virginia, Pennsylvania, and New York as of December 1st, 2022. Currently, all of Ethelmark has almost entirely high transmission per the CDC website, and our CDC community levels are high in many places. I granted that variance, however, I put a deadline on it. I said it must be reviewed after 90 days. If they want to renew it, I'll consider that again upon request from the Kingdom Seneschal. So it would expire, it would begin December 1st when the board's proclamation goes into effect. Until then, they can have whatever they want. It would expire March 1st, 2023, unless it is renewed. The Kingdom Seneschal has acknowledged that renewal date and said that she will comply with that. I'm asking that the board uphold that variance.
Very good. Thank you, Liz. Is there a motion? Any discussion? Director Shepherd, you have the floor.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we uphold the variance granted to the Kingdom of Ethelmark in regards to the COVID policy as presented by the Society Seneschal on 9/29/22.
Very good. Thank you, Director Shepherd. Is there a second? Seconded by Director Krochmal. Is there any discussion? Would anybody like the floor? No? All right, we'll move to a vote. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. All right, Liz, is that it for variances?
That is it, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. Moving on, item 2 under old business, SCA corporate calendar, days of recognition.
I'm sorry,
Bridget?
Mr. Chairman. I'm sorry, could you repeat who moved and seconded on that?
Yes, I believe that it was Director Shepherd and seconded by Director Krochmal.
Okay, thank you.
Always happy to make sure that everything's accurate. All right. In that case, we'll move on to old business item 2, SCA corporate calendars, days of recognition. Bridget, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. So at the previous meeting, I presented a list of official days of recognition for the board's consideration in terms of the corporate calendar. These days would reflect the goals and mission of the society, and to reflect our global presence. They are days that are celebrated internationally. I have taken on board the board's feedback and made some additional changes, and I have now presented a new list for your consideration. Would you like me to go through the days, Mr. Chair?
Please.
So we are looking at recognising the International Day of Education, Black History Month, International Women's Day, Pride, International Non-Binary Peoples Day, International Day of the World's Indigenous Peoples, International Youth Day, International Day of Older Persons, International Men's Day, and International Day of People with a Disability. These days are throughout the year so that we will be able to appropriately recognise and celebrate both the contribution that these days celebrate in terms of their historical context, but also the contribution that people make within our own society. You may see some additional theme days that are used, let's say, for example, at various kingdoms or on the society in terms of our social media, but they are separate to our official calendar of recognition.
Very good. Thank you, Bridget. Is there anybody that would like the floor for commentary or to make a motion, discussion? Director Bainter?
I would move that we accept the SCA corporate calendar for recognition as presented. our corporate communications officer.
Very good. And is there a second? Seconded by Director Shepard. And any further discussion? Would anybody else like the floor? President Fulton, then we'll go to Director Bainter.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So Bridget, we're going to stay on the lookout for updates to this if possible, correct? You are all over that, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely. As we identify things that are consistent with the Society's goals and mission, we'll absolutely bring them to the board for your attention and consideration.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, President Fulton. And Director Bainter, you have the floor.
Yes, Bridget, I just want to thank you for taking the board's feedback and coming back with this revised calendar. I think this aligns much better with the overall outlook. Thank you.
Okay, very good. Would anybody else like the floor for commentary, discussion? All right. Well, we do have a motion to accept the calendar as presented. It has been seconded, so we'll move on to voting. All in favor of accepting the corporate calendar as presented? Any opposed? That motion carries unanimously. All right. Very good. Thank you, Bridget. Do you have anything to add before we move on?
Only that if anyone has suggestions that they would like us to consider, please email the communications office.
Very good. That's a good reminder. All right. Thank you. And we'll move on to new business, Society Webministers Handbook, item A under new business. And that would be our Director of Information Technology.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would ask that the Board of Directors review and approve, if they find it so worthy, the new Society Webministers Handbook.
So Director Krochmal, you have the floor.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, it was my understanding that that was sent back for additional work.
I think you're correct. I think I have an outdated agenda item.
I believe you are correct. That is what the determination was.
You're actually supposed to be speaking on the Azure migration proposal. Is that correct?
No.
That's the next thing in the list,
okay.
Mr. Chairman.
All right. If you'll give me just a second to pull up the correct agenda. What is the next item in new business? If anybody happens to have that handy, please.
Should be the Azure migration.
I do believe that the handbook was on here. It was to be discussed and returned for work. So I do think it is appropriate that it is here. It's just do not plan on approving it today.
Okay. Well, then in that case, we'll mark that as returned for further work, and we can move on to the next item of business, which was the Azure migration proposal. Is that right? I'm still pulling it up. Okay, very good. Which is also our manager of IT, who is Sam. So go ahead and take that away, Sam.
Mr. Chairman and the Board of Directors, I would ask that you review and approve, if you find it a good thing, the Azure migration proposal, including indicating which of the two options you would prefer we proceed.
Would anybody like the floor to discuss that?
My apology. Do you want me to elaborate more on what the Azure proposal is? Okay, I'm sorry. I'm fairly new to this.
Please.
The Azure migration proposal would move us off the Rackspace infrastructure we currently use towards Azure, which for a nonprofit organization is going to be cheaper and I think more responsive to our needs. I have in this proposal put forth two options. One would be just to increase the size of our current server and move to Azure. The other would actually be to split our current load amongst two servers to better serve the society. The single server move would actually save us money every month. The 2-server move would actually be slightly more expensive than what we currently pay. I think this is good for the SCA. I think it sets us up to be able to better handle the growing needs for IT services in the future.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Davis. Is there anybody that would like to have the floor to discuss or put forward a motion? Director Bainter.
Thank you. I think this is definitely a good step forward as we're looking into what it costs to run the corporation. These are definitely going to give us better performance from our website. The Heralds are going to be much happier. They enjoy the benefits of this, especially. The only thing I don't know is if we want to approve option 1 or option 2. We did have some discussion on that yesterday. So we may want to talk more about that, which is option 1 was a 2-server setup, and option 2 was a 1-server setup to migrate our current over in order to be more fiscally responsible and see if we need the additional performance before adding a second server. Am I accurate in that? In the description, Sam, sorry.
Do you yield the floor, Director Bainter?
I yield, yes, I yield the floor, sorry. Yep.
Okay. So now I have the Society Herald and then President Fulton.
I just
Jennifer?
have a really quick question. Thank you. Currently, my office is helping to pay for some of the Rackspace server stuff. So I'm just inquiring, I guess, do either of these proposals still include that, or is that without our input financially?
The total amount in both of these proposals actually included the functionality which you pay for as a sum total. I figured we could
we'll
talk about the split later.
Okay, perfect. That's all I wanted to know. Thank you.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Jennifer. And President Fulton, you have the floor now.
Thank you, Chairman. My suggestion to the board is take the option 1. Right now, we are still without the exact details of how much more it will cost for Rackspace, and I think we need to discuss that and find the budgetary needs to handle any increase over what we're paying now with Carolyn Richardson, our treasurer. My understanding is we can move it over, get a better deal, see how it works, and then at some point, if we want to do that, we could still do that with no negatives whatsoever, and it would be a little more fiscally responsible to make sure we know the exact cost and how the service will do before we approve it, and we do need to run these figures through Carolyn first. Thank you.
The chair recognizes Director Krochmal.
Mr. Chairman, I have a motion if we are ready for that. Okay, Mr. Chairman, I would move that we approve the Azure migration proposal to move to the 1 server, which I think was option 1, as presented by the IT manager.
Very good. And is there a second? Seconded by Director Dagerstrom. Any discussion on the approval of option 1 of the Azure migration? Director Bainter.
I just want to make sure I'm reading the right document. I see scenario 1 listed as 2 servers and scenario 2 listed as 1. I just want to make sure we're choosing the same. I think we're just saying choose the 1 server option for now, whichever option that is. Okay, thank you.
All right, very good. Thank you for that clarification, Director Bainter. So then, could I ask Leslie to read back the motion that you've got currently?
What I have is motion by Jennifer Krochmal to approve the Azure Migration Option 1 proposal as presented by the Manager of Information Technology.
So then we should amend that to be option 2 if we want to do the single server answer. Okay, there's nods all around. So Director Krochmal, do you accept that friendly amendment? Is there any opposition to that at all? Okay, great. So now the amended motion should reflect option 2 then, is that correct? Okay, very good. Yes. So then that is the motion that is currently being discussed. Would anybody like the floor to discuss that further? Thank you, Director Bainter, for that swift clarification. I appreciate that, keeping us on the straight and narrow. And that takes us to a vote. All in favor? Any opposed? The motion carries unanimously. And that brings us to item C, Society Chatelaine Facebook page. Megan or Liz?
Yes.
Megan, you want to go ahead?
Absolutely. Just pulling up my notes. I did request approval for the creation of a Society Chatelaine Facebook page. And if I need assistance from the Society social media officer or communications or any guidance there.
All right. So we've discussed this a little bit informally. Would anybody like to speak to this? Anybody like the floor?
Hi, it's Katie at the Society SMO, if I could have the floor.
Yeah, go ahead, Katie.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Sorry I was a little late. I'm actually on my way back from the event. I've actually not been consulted on this at all. So I would ask that this get tabled and voted on at the next meeting, because it would, as social media, affect my office a lot, and I have not heard a single thing about it. So I would ask the directors to ask that this gets worked over with me and tabled for further discussion.
Very good. And Director Fulton? Or sorry, President Fulton?
Thank you.
Field promotion.
No problem. Okay, to be bluntly honest, when the Society A&S officer previously had the Facebook page created, this is usually done through the social media communications in my office rather than the board to approve this type of activity. And one of the and Katie hit it pretty much on the nail on the head when she said we have a number of conditions that have to be done before this is approved. And I think having it go through Katie's office first would be a great way to handle this, because there's a lot of steps in creation of this and a lot of acceptance of responsibility and moderation and how this can be done and used. So thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, John. Liz?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to say that neither Megan nor I was quite sure of the process for this. So her request came through and there it is as an action item, but there's not any intent to skip any steps or anything like that. Just, I don't have my Facebook page. Neither of us was quite sure how it was done. So that is why it's here for the board to discuss. Thank you.
Thank you for that clarification, Liz. I think that kind of thing happens pretty frequently. Officers send in, as part of the report, a request for board action or a policy interpretation that is sometimes better handled in another way. And I think it's a really good way to have the discussion, get the ball rolling on that discussion. So I don't think that we need to have a motion or anything. I think that this will be remanded to others for additional work. And you don't really need board oversight on that. So thank you, everybody. We'll move on to the next item, unless there is any objection. It does not seem like there is. We'll go to the release forms handbook. Gloria. Is Gloria here?
Gloria is not here.
Okay, then we'll move on. The Society Financial Policy Update by Carolyn.
Sorry about that. It took me a minute to find my mute button. Situation arose in one of the kingdoms recently, which I felt required a slight change to the society financial policy. We added as item C to section 14 under prohibited activities, the following statement, which is the use of cryptocurrency by the SCA is prohibited. No branch is permitted to buy, sell, invest in, trade in, or accept cryptocurrency for any purpose. I think our CPA will probably thank us for this policy because, speaking as a tax person, I know cryptocurrency is a major headache right now as far as tax preparation is concerned. And it really is not the same as what prompted this, but I would submit to the board that we approve this change to the society branch financial policy.
Thank you, Carolyn. Would anybody like the floor? Director Bainter.
Yes, I move that we accept the policy update with regards to cryptocurrency as presented.
Very good, and that's seconded by Director Degerstrom. Any discussion? I'll just take a moment to say that I'm very much in favor of this policy, Carolyn. I think it's a very wise thing to do, and I appreciate you putting it forward for the board to approve. And we can move on to vote. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Thank
Very
you.
good. And we will move on to reports then, which starts with the president's report. Yes, point of information for Leslie.
I'm sorry. Yes, I had some technical issues. Had you moved on to the society financial policies update?
I believe that those were.
That's what
society.
We just approved.
Okay, were you still on the release forms handbook? You'd passed that, right?
Yes.
Okay. So what was the vote on? I caught, like my audio went out and I caught the tail end of a vote.
I think that there was no vote. I thought that Gloria wasn't here to present.
She wasn't. Okay.
We just voted on the financial policy.
You did vote on the financial policy. Okay. Could you repeat that motion and vote? I'm sorry.
Yes, I move to accept the policy change for cryptocurrency as presented.
This was the crypto call. Okay.
Yep.
Sorry about that. Who was the second?
I don't remember who seconded.
It was Director Degerstrom.
Okay, and all in favor?
All yes, it passed unanimously with all in favor.
Okay. Sorry about that. My audio just went. Okay, I got it. Thank you.
I'm having technical difficulties too myself with this streaming. It sometimes jutters in and out, so I'm hoping I catch everything. But it's made an extra layer of difficulty today. So before we move on then to the reports, my agenda is out of date. I apologize for that, but you asked about the release forms handbook, and I think we moved on with taking no action. Does that match everybody's recollection?
Thank you. I got that. We're good. So I think you're ready for reports, right?
Yep. And then the next item that we're to address is the president's report then.
Okay, thank you.
All right, very good. President Fulton, go ahead.
Thank you, Chairman Rogner. This is my September 2022 quarterly report for the office of the president. I have one requested board action. I request that the board rename the Society Archive Collection as the Master Aldred von Lexand aus Froschheim SCA Archives. And there was some debate on another level of whether or not it should be his modern name or his SCA name, but C.T. Alderson has saved us untold thousands of dollars in storage fees for this mighty and awesome collection, which I will mention later in my report. But I think the 20 or so years of service and the fact that, oh my God, it fits his character personally, the description would be wonderful if the board could find a way to note that this renaming is done.
Is there a motion? Let's see, I think that's a wonderful opportunity for a resolution. Director Shepherd.
All right, so I'm going to try this. Mr. Chairman, I move that we rename Society Archive Collection as the Master Aldred von Lexand aus Froschheim SCA Archives, as requested by the Society President.
That was pretty good. Is there a second for that?
Much better than me.
Does the executive assistant need him to repeat that?
Yes.
Okay, just checking. Just checking. All right, I'm sorry. Was there a second? Seconded by Director Crockmall. Any further discussion? All right, very good. All in favor? That resolution passes unanimously. Thank you, CT. Thank you very much for all that you've done for the society.
He just called
President
me a
Fulton?
rat in chat. He just called me a rat in chat, but I'm not upset. Thank you very much, board, for this. I have no policy interpretations, no new policy. My commendations, I would like to give a huge thank you to Natalie Degerstrom, the Honorable Lady Saruka Bent Lazari, who is stepping off the board as of this October meeting. Natalie is a principled and dedicated individual who gave a good bit of her life over 3.5 years at peace of mind to serve the society as a board member during one of the roughest times the organization has faced. It has been a difficult run and she faced it with bravery and integrity. The SCA owes her respect and I personally am very glad to have had a chance to work with her. It was an honor, Natalie. I hope to someday sit down with your family and sample the wonders of your Traeger grill. I would also like to recognize the incredible job Charles Alderson, Master Aldred, as stated by Director Shepherd, has done at the Society's library as the Society's librarian archivist, CT, as he is known and held safely the archives of the Society for the last 20 years at his home in California. CT is in the process of turning the office over. And for 2 decades, he has protected, grown, and sorted a vast array of newsletters, handbooks, TICAs, rule sets, and other material the SCA has produced over the last 55 plus years. He charged no storage fee. He has held close our past and made sure it was available when needed. I've requested the board to name the archives after him. Thank you, board. Lastly, a huge bow of respect to my special deputy, projects deputy Laura Pate, for her patience with me and dedication to the society. My publishable summary. Yeah, good. Make sure I don't add anything extemporaneous. Atenfeld is planning on running War of the Phoenix in early 2023 if conditions are right. This will be a replacement for the previously canceled Estrella War. There is new ownership of Kings Arrow Ranch, which has for 3 decades been the site of Gulf Wars in Glen Aubin. The new ownership is happy to continue with the relationship with the SCA and hopes to expand the relationship with the Kingdom and the SCA. And my office has approved the contract for multiple years. So this Gulf War should have no problems continuing. Great Western War is going on as I write this report. I hope next year to be able to attend. Other fall events are coming. War of the Wings is ending now and should be concluding about the same time as right now. Fall winter 22 sees more events coming. Health concerns still exist. And while the SCA-wide COVID safe policy itself ends December 1st, kingdoms will continue to have the ability to request variances after that to handle any health needs arising over the continuing issues and concern with COVID. Kingdom Seneschals need to contact Liz Schreier, the Society Seneschal, or me, seneschal@sca.org or president@sca.org for assistance to keeping members and participants safe. The Amazon Smile was very productive for us. April 1st to June 30th of this year. Amazon donated $2,204.98 went to the SCA general funds. This program gives money directly to the organization. It does not come out of the people who buy things on Amazon as a straight donation for not-for-profits and for charities. If you have any question and have difficulty in signing up on Amazon to see that your money is possibly donated in the Amazon Smile program to the SCA, contact me, president@sca.org. Our new member software marketplace event registration provided by Neon One should be online, fingers crossed, in November. I'm not going to read the rest of that because Louise has that in her report. One last thing, there's a lot of things in here that really I don't need to, it'll come out in the after board report. Finally, from October 1st, 2022 through October 3rd, 2022, an awesome team of volunteers with the archives in Paris, California, working to do sorting, filing, and additional boxing in preparation for transferring the archives to the new archivist, which will be interviewed week after next. Currently, there are now in the archives 108 boxes of material sorted by year. There's also a complete archival set of tournaments illuminated and complete anachronists. There are an additional 35 boxes of various size sorted by kingdom placement. We will make an attempt to see that these kingdoms are hopefully offered to the kingdoms in which they're sorted for in the future. Also, a team of volunteers were there because it was a massive job and it could not have been done without the people from Kaid who volunteered to help. There's more information to come with the archives in the future, and I'll keep everybody as posted. Chairman Rogner, that ends my report. Thank you. Are there any questions, please?
Would anybody like the floor? Thank you. The board gleefully accepts your report. Thank you very much, John. And next, we are receiving a report from the Information Technology Manager, Sam.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. To the esteemed directors of the Society Created Anachronism, the Manager of Information Technology sends greetings. Herein follows the third quarter 2022 report to the Board of Directors regarding the activities of the Department of Information Technology for the board meeting. Requested board actions, these have both been handled already in new business, which was to review and approve the, or return for work in this case, the Web Minister's Handbook and review the Azure migration proposal. I have no policy interpretations and I have no new policies. For commendations, I did reach out to all those under me and asked them to provide commendations as well. So this is a combined commendation list from all of the IT department. The following people contributed to the edition of the handbook that was submitted for this meeting, and we'd like to thank them for their efforts. And y'all are going to listen to me butcher some names here. Meisterin Amelie Reinhardt, Maisie Carlos Nieto DeAndre, Maestress Eowyn de Weaver, Lord Floki the Ginger, the Honorable Lord Ian MacArthur, Master Joel Messer, Lady Kofina In Kira Ottersdottir, Meister Male Ian McCann McIkruda, Bjorn Magthagwin Un Aruadine, Meister Matthias von Uschberg, Master Melkor Zoom Grogan Wolf, Lady Sela de la Rosa, and Lady Yida van Balug. The number two, the East Kingdom Web Ministry for really holding things together during the pandemic and ensuring virtual courts and events went off smoothly. They put their hands together to make sure people around the kingdom could still do the SCA in some capacity, always willing to be a resource to any and all kingdom web ministers. Number three, Master Albert D. Elster for keeping the North Shield website up and running smoothly. Number four, all those throughout the society who created content to help maintain the community of the SCA during the pandemic. This goes to both the on-air talent and the many behind-the-scenes staff members of shows like Between Two Peers, Coach's Corners, Coffee with Cal, and The Hound and Stag, and many more. Jennifer Smith, Magistra, M. de Featherston, for offering fantastic suggestions and advice. Luis Tanzos and Baron Reese at Tudor at Win for their assistance in getting the SCA server back up and running during many outages. General status report. The Department of Information Technology continues to make improvements and changes. The first change is welcoming Nicholas Milano, the Honorable Lord Ian MacArthur, as the new Society Web Minister. He jumped in with both feet and has begun holding regular meetings for all web ministers to assist in collaboration and communication. Web ministers throughout the known world are working diligently to improve the security and reliability of the various websites throughout the Society. In several kingdoms, there are efforts to add additional functionalities to their websites. These efforts include, but are not limited to, the creation of authorization databases and improved orders of precedent systems. Mr. Milano, along with several other kingdom web ministers, have worked diligently to eliminate critical and high-rated vulnerabilities on websites throughout the Society. As a note, the last time I checked, we were down to no critical and only 3 or 4 high vulnerabilities throughout the Society. The SCA server is still underpowered and causing problems in the services it provides, such as the www.sca.org website, to become unavailable. As a stopgap measure until more significant improvements can be made, we've made a few changes. Small number of listservs that did not actually use or require mailman's functionality have been moved to our O365 implementation. The domain name system has been migrated to a free third-party provider, Cloudflare. Cloudflare will give us enhanced reliability and redundancy and isolate the DNS system from any issues that the SCA server has. Secondarily, Cloudflare will give us the options for future to improve our offerings. We are looking forward to, pending the approval of the related proposal, enlarging and migrating the server to mitigate many of the issues we are seeing. We continue to look forward to ways to reduce costs and improve functionality. Publishable summary, the IT department welcomes Nicholas Milano, the Honorable Lord Ian MacArthur, as the new Society Web Minister. He's already proving himself a valuable addition to the information technology team. Under his leadership, vulnerabilities throughout the Society's web presence have been significantly reduced. We acknowledge issues with the current SCA server and are taking steps to mitigate the consequences until a more permanent solution can be found. We've started preliminary investigations towards migrating to a more powerful and resilient server. As always, we look forward to ways to streamline and make the most economical use of the Society's resources. I have no confidential report. This report is submitted respectfully, and farewell. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sam. All right. Would anybody like the floor, or are we good to move on? Okay, we'll move on to the next report. Society Communications Officer, Bridget.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Communication report for the third quarter for 2022. There are no new requested board actions, policy interpretations, or policies. I would like to commend and give my thanks to Katie Gilroy, Leslie Luther Fulton, John Fulton, Louise DeCray, Liz Schreier, Jessica Van Hattem, Maya Tree, Sam Davis, Ross Thompson, and Marla Sellinger for their continuing support of the communications function. General status report. The Society received an extremely positive review by the Skilltree YouTube channel in their video, First Time at Pennsic, the 10,000 person city of tens. The creators have given us the permission to host the video on our website, and we are currently exploring options for future collaborations with them. And as a side note, if you haven't seen it, completely recommend it. It probably is one of the best representations of our society by an outside group I have seen. We continue to see increased engagement with our LinkedIn presence as we showcase the range of activities. We're also seeing increased use of the online photo/model/creative work release form. This trial is proving successful and does support potential integration of our release forms into an updated members only in the future. This work also assists in the revitalization of the Digital Scribes project, which will assist officers in providing an ongoing source of approved current issues that showcases the highly diverse range of activities that we cover. Some concepts are currently in development from the Communications Office to support the VP of Corporate Ops in the Neon One transition. Concept briefs are currently progressing for 3 web series for the YouTube channel, focused on promoting the arts, martial activities, and providing support for newcomers. The draft briefs are about to go out to a range of individuals for testing, and then I hope to submit them to the board for approval at the next quarterly meeting. We are also currently investigating opportunities to utilise influencer relationships to promote the society to new audiences. Publishable summary: effective corporate communications support enhances the purpose of our organisation. Building on strong foundations, our office is currently reviewing opportunities to increase transparency, minimise misunderstanding, improve engagement and understanding, support our officers, and continue to build the society's identity. Communication grows and enhances the known world. My thanks to all those officers who support this function throughout the known world. With regard to travel, travel in 2022, no current plans are confirmed. I am currently investigating potential travel to North America mid-2023. And that is my report, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much, Bridget. We accept your report. And would anybody like the floor for discussion? Okay, we're going to move on to the next report, which is the social media officer, Katie.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Again, I'm driving, so I'm sorry if I cut out. Texas is like one big dead zone. I don't have my report in front of me, so I'm going to do my best to repeat everything that I wrote in it for you guys. For commendations, thank you to Bridget, John, Leslie, Liz, and all those who support the social media office every day. I commended a lot of people from different kingdoms for getting their kingdom discords up and running. Discord is becoming a more and more critical social media chat room, essentially, for those who don't use it. It makes it way easier to reach folks kind of under 25 and under 30. So in terms of being able to reach audiences that we haven't traditionally been reaching, thank you to everybody working on that. I know Bridget already mentioned the YouTube video that came out. A summary of what's been happening: kingdoms are still experiencing growth on their Facebook, Instagram, other channels generally across the board. There has not been quite as many moderation alerts since the return to more in-person activities. Thank you to those who do handle their moderations quickly. I think people are learning to behave in the online SCA space a little bit better than when we all kind of got thrown into it with the pandemic at the beginning of 2020. We released some new printables. So I created some new printables. They use the branding guidelines created by Bridget, and hopefully I will be able to do some more soon. But for any new groups trying to do that, those are available now. I have spoken to a couple of different offices about creating their own YouTubes, and I'm working with them on that. And generally things are rolling right along. Everyone remember to use the hashtag #MySCA when you are posting so that I can find your things. And I have, for travel, I was briefly in Palantir at the beginning of this quarter, but I don't think I have anything planned for this next quarter so far. No board motions or policy interpretations to report.
Thank you, Katie. We accept your report. And next report, would anybody like the floor to discuss or ask any questions? Okay, we'll move on to the next item. We did not receive a report from the Society DEI officer, but we should shortly, where we would discuss that in the next conference call, which brings us to the report from our Vice President of Operations, Society Seneschal, Liz.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My action items, which were variances and new group actions, have already been dealt with by the board. I had this quarter no new policies and no policy interpretations for a change. Commendations. I met Kit Page, Catherine Ann of Newbury, at the Kingdom Seneschal Symposium almost 3 years ago prior to my taking this job. She's seen Artemisia through the pandemic with grace and courage, and now steps down for a very well-deserved rest. Her successor, who might be known to the board as Sir Bartholomew Hightower, has some big shoes to fill. Nichelle Vardo, Nichelle White Wolf, has stepped down as Seneschal of Atenvelt somewhat early due to increased job responsibilities. Like all other kingdom seneschals in the time of COVID, she had to make some difficult choices for the good of her kingdom. I'm glad I had the opportunity to work with her. And from the kingdom seneschals, I have the following rather long list of commendations. From Ethelmark, she says, I would like to give commendations to the following Ethelmark subjects who went above and beyond with assisting the kingdom seneschal of Ethelmark at Penzic 49. Duke Christopher Rollins, Mistress Hilda Hugelman, Baron Padraig o' Brondub, Master William de Montegilt, Master Alaric McConnell, Viscount Sir Edmund Drocator, Dame Kelda Jurgensdottir, the Honorable Lady Rosalia Juliana Onder, and Lady Fujina no Takako. Usually I'm better with names than this, sorry. From Ontier, she says, our Kingdom Chronicler Tashiana stepped into this role in January 2021. Throughout the last 2 years, she has put out some amazing criers and in full color. We have opened that office up since her term ends in January 2023. I am sad to see her go, but I know that she will be leaving the office in a great state. I would have her on any team I work on. She is that amazing. And from Onstiora, I would like to give kudos to Rebecca Allain for giving of her time as Windheim's Seneschal. She was a great asset as the Principality develops. I would also like to give kudos to Kofina Eaglesdottir for her time as Kingdom Social Media Officer, Although she only served for a short time, cut short by being announced as the next Baroness of her barony, her time of reviewing and improving the Kingdom's social media policy is a great asset. From Artemisia, she writes, Fia Meta de Travester Maestra, Fia has been a joy to work with over the past several years, but especially during the height of the pandemic. Her ingenuity in coming up with online events during the shutdown was wide. Helping groups with online setup and hosting the events for groups was not just time-consuming on many levels, but she did it with a smile and enthusiasm that she helped keep the kingdom involved. And Magdalena Lucia Ramberti, Meister Magda, as she is known, has helped in more than one level as the Kingdom MOAS and helped during the pandemic with online classes and events, encouraging and mentoring several members to display and help to develop the Arts and Sciences program. Meister Magda has been a big help with many other projects within the kingdom as well, and I am thankful to her. And Sumaya bint Suleiman, Countess Sumaya, has helped endlessly with being a mentor as the previous Kingdom Seneschal and Kingdom Emergency Replacement Deputy and Sounding Board. Countess Sumaya has influenced many with her knowledge and kind words and encouragement during not just the shutdown, but continues to work with the kingdom to move forward. I personally thank her for her encouragement. I'm going to put a side note in there that Countess Sumaya is now Queen Sumaya of Artemisia. Savati Chikaya, her ladyship Savati, was the kingdom exchequer during the pandemic, but extended her warrant to help the kingdom move forward. Her ladyship Savati made it easy on all of us with her organization and calming attitude. I want to thank her for all her hard work. From Drachenwald, she writes, I want to take this opportunity to say thank you to Mistress Margaret for amazing achievements as a seneschal for Drachenwald during a very hard time. She guided our kingdom through this difficult time with grace, patience, and proficiency. From Eldermere, she says, I'd like to do a shout out for our kingdom's Chatelain, His Excellency Brown Thorvaldsen. He has been very active in helping groups to not only attempt to gain new people, but also help groups with lower faltering energy to try and get some steam back. He's been working on keeping up with multiple social media platforms in order to make sure he is able to communicate with new and younger people. He recently organized and ran our community group booth at Fan Expo Toronto, which is one of the biggest conventions in Canada. Our Kingdom Facebook group was getting multiple membership requests throughout the weekend. He's been an excellent and energetic representative for Eldermere and the SCA. From the East, Esgar F. Rofakaster and Tree of the Forest for making my Penzic transition as smooth as it could have been. Maeve Inui Kelly, Mercedes de Calafia, Catherine Barr, Hedwigus Okenfuthen for constant support and strength while I have come into the office. Fergus McCallan, Southern Regional Deputy Seneschal, who has been instrumental and engaged with his region, taking things off my plate as needed and handling tough situations. Godfrey de Falaise, Tirmera's regional seneschal, who has done an excellent job communicating the needs of the Canadian provinces. Cedric of the Floppy Hat and Nastasia Ivanova Medvedeva, outgoing regional seneschals, for their support of their region's consistent work and reliable communication. From Meridies, he writes, the Honorable Lady Ankarat Morkan, she did a much needed overhaul of the Meridies branch seneschal reporting system. She has also been instrumental in getting the kingdom back on track and returning to physical activities. And Mistress Jane Wolfton, she has gone above and beyond in her work as Kingdom Chronicler. From the Mid-Realms, she writes, honestly, I want to commend their Majesties Ark and Rona, their past Majesties, they just stepped down, of the Mid-Realm for being proactive and inclusive throughout their entire reign. They have tirelessly worked to make the Middle Kingdom a place where people can feel welcomed. And from North Shield, she says, I commend Master Eldred of Malmesbury for his time as Kingdom and then local seneschal and his new position as regional exchequer. His dedication to the SCA is admirable. Next, I want to thank Mistress Margaret Fitzwilliam of Kent for taking on the role of law clerk, and Duchess Petronella Fitz-Allen of Weston for doing such an excellent job in this position and being a great advisor. Last but not least, to the Honorable Lady Morgane Scott Blood, I would like to thank her for stepping into the role of Emergency Deputy Seneschal and finding an excellent replacement for the position she was in as Regional Seneschal. I know that was long, but I have a belief that we can't thank people or volunteers too often. So that's why I put all those in. At this time, I have no particular travel planned for the next quarter outside of my kingdom, although if an opportunity presents itself, I could do that. My publishable summary. At long last this summer, at least from what I can gather from Kingdom Seneschal communications and my own experience, has felt very much like a welcome back with regard to SCA activities and functioning. Most of the signature Kingdom events have occurred in recent months, including Lily's War in Callantyre, On Tier West War in On Tier, and Warriors and Warlords in North Shield. By the time this meeting is held, Great Western War in Caid and War of the Wings in Atlantia will be added to that list. And of course, Pinzik happened. While there have been inevitable bumps along the road and attendance is still down somewhat from pre-pandemic norms, the events nonetheless are successful, and for the most part, people seem excited and happy to be back. A note regarding variances to Kingdom law and corpora, particularly in regard to event planning. During the pandemic, an extraordinary number of variances to event-related rules and policies, such as corpora's publication requirements and many Kingdom laws regarding dates on which certain events were to be held, had to be granted. This continued for the first part of 2022, as there seemed to be a bit of a learning curve for us to remember how to event. Now that the SCA has been back to near normal since spring, such variances are no longer going to be routinely granted. If an event isn't properly published as required by corpora's business requiring prior announcement rule, and there is not some compelling circumstance, such as the last-minute loss of a site, a variance will not be granted for that. This means that awards can't be granted and certain other official business cannot be conducted at that event. Remember that for court business to occur at an event, it must have a full announcement in the Kingdom newsletter in either the month the event occurs or the previous month if it's the beginning of the month. I'm happy to report that this quarter saw a new official shire and a new barony. I'm also hearing that we are actually beginning in certain areas of the SCA to have a lot of new faces. Many of these new faces found the SCA during the pandemic due to the high number of quality online programs that were developed, both by official SCA groups and by individuals sharing our hobby with others. I want to encourage people to keep these efforts up insofar as can be done without slighting the in-person activities that have always been our lifeblood. Share your enthusiasm for our hobby in whatever way you can best do so. Mr. Chairman, that concludes my report.
Thank you very much, Liz. Your report is accepted. And at this time, would there be a motion to take a short recess, maybe 5-10 minutes? Director Shepard.
Mr. Chairman, I move and request that we have a short recess for necessities for about 5 or 10 minutes before we come back.
All right, very good. In that case, we'll come back at 1:40 p.m. Central Time in 10 minutes from now, unless there are any objections. I see no objections, so that's a 10-minute adjournment. Thank you. Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. Back again, it looks like everybody's back. And I would like to see if Carolyn would like to present her report out of order. If not, we can go to the Society Chatelaine. Carolyn?
Yeah, I'd be happy to do my report a little early. Thank you very much for that, Ross. Let's see. Herein follows the third quarter report for October 2022 to the Board of Directors regarding the Office of the Corporate Treasurer for the Society for Creative Anachronism. Under requested board actions, those were mostly confidential due to them being in the nature of HR questions for budgeting purposes. So those have been addressed already by the board. Thank you very much. New policy interpretations. The board approved my policy interpretation earlier, but just to repeat that for anybody who wasn't here earlier, that is to add a prohibited activity under section 14C on the use of cryptocurrency by the SCA is prohibited. No branch is permitted to buy, sell, invest in, trade in, or accept cryptocurrency for any purpose. Commendations, I don't have any specific commendations for this quarter, as the only person working under me is the Society Exchequer and Bonnie Stringer, and you already know what a great job she's doing. Publishable summary. The corporate office is operating under a small profit as of the end of July 2022. That continued through the end of August, which is the most recent accounting I have. On the bright side, membership revenues are running ahead of projections, and year to date, we're showing about a $40,000 profit. That's primarily because of our cutting our expenses to the bone over the last 2 years. The beginning of actual events versus virtual events has helped to some extent. However, our investment account is suffering severe drops in this current bear market, and that has been occurring since the middle of January. The published treasury reports, such as the budget and membership statistics, have been updated and published on the website for the mid-year point for 2022. We have finally uploaded the 2020 tax return to the website as well. The 2021 return is still being worked on by our CPA. We must continue to remain diligent and stay within budget when possible. If we return to normal operations in 2023, our expenses will be exceeding our income, as we were able to eliminate a huge chunk of expenses during the pandemic. But things like officer and board travel will likely need to return soon. Several people have mentioned that here on the meeting, in fact, and I'll be working on the budget over the next quarter. That's my main goal, to get it presented for the January meeting. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to entertain them. Otherwise, that ends my report.
Thank you, Carolyn. Would anybody like to ask any questions or discuss anything? Okay, then the Society Treasurer's report is accepted. Thank you, Carolyn. If you need to head out, we certainly understand. And
thank you very much. Like I said, I don't generally try to schedule things against this meeting, but this came up just this morning, so.
We certainly understand. Then I'm going to go back into the agenda order by headed back to reports B under the Vice President of Operations to the Society, Chatelaine. Megan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Under new policies, there was a request to review existing Chatelaine language and material available on both the SCA Newcomer portal and the Chatelaine resources, and to make any necessary updates in light of the recognition and approval of oral traditions and the arts and sciences. I was asked to clarify if this is a new policy or an implementation of policy. I would say it's the latter, since it's really a request to update any material that may currently be inconsistent with the new policy regarding oral traditions and time periods within the society. The updating of the newcomer web portal and Chatelaine resources was briefly discussed already, and we determined that Bridget and Marla would help me to make sure these policies were updated within the Chatelaine material. Commendations, I wanted to thank the Penzic 49 Newcomers Point volunteers and Newcomers Track instructors. Newcomers Point this year at Penzic attracted about 350 visitors. We had 24 volunteers who operated Point from Sunday of the first weekend through Thursday of War Week. And additionally, we had 11 instructors teaching over 24 hours of newcomer classes. Publishable summary. With the increase of activity this summer, the Society's love of history is being renewed amongst our established members and shared with newcomers across the known world as events and demos are now taking place in every kingdom. I'd like to thank all the kingdom and local Chatelaines for continuing to be a source of knowledge and positivity for new people. Our organization would not be able to continue to grow without your efforts. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Megan. Your report is accepted. Would anybody else like to ask questions or comment? No? Okay, very good. Thank you very much. And we will move on to Vice President of Corporate Operations, Louise. You have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Here is my report for third quarter 2022. Requested board actions, policy interpretations, and new policies, none. Commendations, unfortunately she just left, but I am deeply grateful for our Society Treasurer, Carolyn Richardson, for her invaluable work examining, refining the corporate budget and finances over the past several months. She's been going through everything forensically with a fine-tooth comb. She is a treasure. And I'll let her know directly since she just left. General status reports. Our transition to the new CRM system has been experiencing some delays, which of course one would expect, but we are still working with Neon staff and hoping to have our go live be still in November. We do anticipate hopefully minimal downtime for the populace and for our SCARS deputies. We should have an update within the next week with an adjusted timeline. On a related note, there have been some issues with the current system. If anybody kind of remembers the scene in Pirates of the Caribbean where we meet Jack Sparrow and he's coming into the dock and it turns out that it's sinking and he just kind of steps. Yeah, so I feel like members only knows we're getting rid of it. So I apologize specifically to the Mid-Realm and Eldermere. We are aware of the issue where members are being improperly listed. This is something that we will be prioritizing fixing in the new system. And I believe right now we have a stopgap so that the kingdom numbers appear properly and nothing goes wrong there. All in all, this was a very busy quarter as the summer events reached a peak, and we continue to welcome new members as well as welcome back returning ones. Between January 1st and this past October 1st, we've had a membership increase of nearly 8%, which is more than double for the same amount of time as last year. So welcome everybody and welcome back to some long-standing folks. Looking ahead to the next calendar year, as mentioned, the board is considering the possibility of a return to live meetings in the latter half of 2023. So groups interested in hosting a meeting should contact the BOD Executive Assistant, Leslie Luther Fulton at ea@sca.org for information on meeting requirements and how to submit a bid, because I know everybody wants to get out and meet you guys, health regulations permitting, and I've never met most of these people. Travel none, and that's it. That's all the news that's fit to print.
Thank you, Louise. Do we have any questions? Would anybody like the floor? Okay, Louise, your report is accepted. Thank you. Moving on to the publications manager.
That will be me as well. Gloria is not in attendance. So for the publications manager, third quarter report, Gloria Woodard, honor of Rustamel. A requested board action was to approve the new release forms handbook. I believe we have I don't remember what happened with that. I think we might have remanded it.
We remanded it. That is correct.
Okay, so that has been moved and will be handled at the next conference call. Policy interpretation, none. New policies will be the handbook. Commendations. My appreciation to the chroniclers, editors, and contributors of the known world for the publications made available to the Society. It is a difficult and often thankless job, and the talent and dedication of these fine people is praiseworthy. Thanks to, I have many skills, and pronouncing Welsh is not one of them, so I apologize. Mathgaman Ua Radhan, Matthew Cavaletto, I apologize, for his extensive contributions to the development of the Release Forms Handbook, which is submitted for consideration to the Board of Directors this quarter. His diligence and dedication are appreciated. General status report, the publications team continues to produce publications. The turnover of personnel has not been affected by the pandemic or the return to more normal activities. The archivist is preparing the archives for transfer to their new location, mentioned previously. The digital archivist is continuing to collect electronic documents to add to the collection. The dedication of all of these fine people is laudable. Publishable summary. The publications team continues to provide monthly and quarterly publications to inform, educate, and entertain the populace. Tournaments Illuminated and Complete Anachronist are exceptional publications which are printed quarterly and available by subscription to members. The monthly Kingdom newsletters are available monthly on SCA.org, as well as available via paper subscription for those who prefer. Please consider sharing your talents by contributing artwork and articles. And travel none. So this concludes the report of Publications Manager Gloria Woodard.
Thank you very much, Louise, for that. And that brings us to Tournaments Illuminated. Darcy?
Hi, this is a report for the Office of Tournaments Illuminated Editor for the third quarter of 2022. I have no requested board actions, no policy interpretations, and no new policies. Commendations. My particular gratitude to the feature authors in issue 218, Jonah Holloway, THL John and Lynn Lewis of the Middle Kingdom, who went above and beyond for this issue with multiple contributions, all of which are stellar. Kirsten O'Brien, THL Rekon of Sarima of the Kingdom of Kaid, who told the story of the historically inspired passion project that graces the front cover of the issue. That is a personal reliquary, and wow. You'll just have to read. And also Ellen Rawson, fellow editor Ariel of Lindisfarne, and Ian Walden, Rafe I apologize, Rafe Cuthbert, both of the Principality of Insula Draconis, who were kind enough to share their recent trip to the Isle of Iona, and Ellen's wonderful photos, one of which adorns the back cover of the issue. General status report. Issue 218 is going to press. In fact, it has gone to press. Issue 219, which is the third quarter 2022, should go to press by the first week of November. Everyone cross your fingers. I did not include it in the report, but the William Black Fox Awards for AS55 should be in that issue. The issue 220 should go to press by the first week of December, and issue 221, which is first quarter 2023, should go to press in January 2023. And that'll mean we're all good. Extra feature issue, extra feature content in issue 218 has meant that the quest topic favorite virtual SCA moments was bumped to issue 219, which meant that everything else moves down one. The topic of ranged weapons and related feature material is now scheduled for issue 220. The quest topic, the project that taught me the most, is planned for issue 221. Submissions to or questions about quest topics are welcome and should be sent to the editor at tieditor@sca.org. In regard to the online feature, Tournaments Illuminated presents, the planned initial article to build a castle is still moving forward in the production process. And I see that I left the next sentence unfinished, and I would like to apologize to all of you good gentles for that. This is what happens when you do your report over the course of multiple days. What it should say is I will be contacting the Society webminister about how to post it properly and coordinating that when I have a finished text and all the images in hand. I have no travel. Publishable summary, Tournaments Illuminated issue 218 is going to press. Again, I would note now that it has gone to press. To be followed in approximately 6 weeks by issue 219. Issue 220 is in production. Issue 221 is on the drawing board. And that concludes my report.
Thank you very much, Darcy. Anybody like to ask any questions or request the floor? No? All right, well then your report is accepted. And that brings us next to the complete anachronist.
President Fulton has his hand up.
All right, President Fulton.
Yeah, I just wanted to tell our great TI editor that during the dig at the archives, we have extra copies. We have found in the office, we sent them to the office, I think, copies of the first 50 TIs. That's an extra to what the archives is continuing to keep. I thought that you might find that interesting. We'll be doing stuff with those in the future. Louise has them in her possession. I just wanted you to know we put our hands on literally every friggin' TI in the world on that trip.
Which is a considerable stack by now. If I will take it up at a later date, but to the extent that there are holes in TI's own morgue copies, they are early. So I may at some point ask if copies can be made of certain. I mean, the number of holes in the TI morgue is in single digits, but nonetheless. So I may be asking for copies of some of those early copies, but I will mention that officially at some later date.
Part of this, Darcy, is what we are going to do in terms of digitizing those copies and how we're going to handle it. But I'll let you know what we're talking about when we get to it.
Sure, absolutely. Thank you.
Very good. Anyone else? All right, thank you so much. And we'll move on now to the complete anachronist. And I don't see Ellen today, so I believe that means Louise will be taking that.
That's me again. I'm all over this bill. Yeah, Ellen is unable to attend, so here is the complete anachronist report. Also, Darcy, I love TI morgue. That's hilarious. TI deep freeze, TI Svalbard. Okay, Ellen Rawson, Ariel of Lindisfarne's report for the third quarter, complete anachronist, requested board actions, policy interpretations, and new policies, none. Commendations, many thanks to Mia Reeves for writing the follow-up to CA 194, Recreating Elizabethan and Jacobean Theater. CA 197 is on recreating early modern English theater, including performance practice ranging from acting styles to makeup and costumes. Elise Fleming currently is helping complete the copy editing, and it will be sent to Sue Gilbert as soon as possible for layout and publication. As with other CA authors who have written more than one book, Mia and I have a good working relationship, and I'm happy to publish another complete anachronist by her. Thanks also go to the British Library for charging her a minimal amount for the rights for a particular image she really wanted to use. Advanced thanks, as per usual, to both Sue and Elise for their expertise and diligence. General status report, manuscript status. There's actually an update to what I just said. The CA 197, Examples of Performing Elizabethan and Jacobean Theater, has been sent to Sue and is in the layout stages. Let's see, there were some delays due to Hurricane Ian, so best wishes and hopes for all affected by that. Let's see. Peer reviews of women's pre-8th century clothing in Kent, England have been received and returned to the author, who is still working on revisions. Waddle and Daub has been reviewed. The reviewer thinks the content and research both are solid and just need some reorganization. And we also have an equestrian miscellany. The editors who have taken on this project from the late Master Terrapin have contacted his widow Dubisa and are trying to reach all the authors involved. This project is still in progress. There is a laundry list, a wealth of other pending manuscripts, which all sound amazing and would probably take too long to read, but we've got Roman cooking, Ottoman cuisine, period poisons and their antidotes might be coming up. I'm excited for the Wattle and Daub one. Inks, perfume, block printing, and general comments. Manuscripts are always gratefully accepted. I love reading these. Travel, none, and publishable summary for the current issue, CA 197 Renaissance Performance Practice. How to perform early modern theater as it might have been done originally. Oh, sorry. I think there might be a typo here. This is, let's see. When Complete Anachronist 194, Recreating Elizabethan and Jacobean Theatrical Performance was released, in addition to instructional materials, it contained an example of application of the process to instruct on how to utilize the material in the publication. Further examples of application are found here, including both a monologue and scenes. They are examined in depth regarding acting style, vocal performance, costume, makeup, blocking, use of language, and concessions for 21st century actors. Budding actors or even experienced performers wanting to work with early modern theater as it was first presented will find Complete Anachronist 197 a worthy addition to their dramatic preparation and libraries. And that's it.
Thank you very much, Louise. Does anybody have any questions or commentary? There being none, that report is accepted. And that brings us next to the Society Chronicler, Crystal or Louise.
I thought it was done. I think that's me also. I don't believe Crystal's here. All right, the Society Chronicler report. Crystal Smith, known as Mistress Cecilia Blythe, OP in the Society. No board actions, policy interpretations, or new policies. Commendations. Commendations and congratulations are going out soon to the winners of the Black Fox Awards. General status report. Everything is going well. The newsletters are almost all on time each month. Publishable summary. It is wonderful to see more events being published in the Kingdom newsletters now that more events are going on again. The newsletters are reflecting much more positive things than they were during the pandemic time. Black Fox winners coming soon. No known world summary and no travel. That's it. Short and sweet.
Very good. Any questions or commentary for Louise? All right, that report is also accepted. And having already heard the report of our Society Treasurer, we will then move on to our Society Exchequer. Bonnie, before you get started, I just want to make a quick note for everybody. The board received several of the financial policies in this report. It didn't make it onto our desks until a little late, so we're going to remand those to a later date so that the board has time to review them. But there is also a new policy which we have had in front of us, so we will be discussing that. Bonnie, go ahead.
Thank you. Everybody can hear me okay? So yes, we do have a new policy, and we're keeping with the spirit of we're trying to reduce costs and control costs, you know, and keep us all fluid. We're asking that all kingdoms and groups, wars, if they are going to make a capital investment or new equipment, that they please, anything over, we're asking the board to approve this. If it's anything over $7,500, that we're going to just add one more level of approval with myself and Carolyn, just to make sure the timing is right to put that kind of money in an investment or in equipment at this point in time. So I'm asking the board if they will approve that policy.
Thank you, Bonnie. Are there any board members that would like the floor? Director Crockmall.
Mr. Chairman, I ask that we approve the new policy as proposed by the Society Exchequer to require the Society Treasurer and Society Exchequer to approve all capital or equipment expenses over $7,500.
Very good. Is there a second? Second by Director Shepard. Any discussion on this? Would anybody like the floor for discussion? President Fulton.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Bonnie. Thank Carolyn when you say her. There's been some confusion over for a while on Kingdom funds, how they're spent, what they're spent for, in the approval process, that make sure we don't possibly bring into questions about our not-for-profit status. I think this is like the policy that we have approval for contracts over a certain amount. I think this means that that we will have better oversight instead of finding out that 20 or 30 or $40,000 was spent after the fact. Our fiscal responsibility is an integral part of what we do, and I really, really appreciate this. Bonnie, if you would get with Carolyn, let me know how how it is going over the next 6 months, so maybe we can possibly discuss reviewing how to adjust it if needed, if there are problems.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you, President Fulton. Director Bainter, you have the floor.
Just as a clarification, how does this or does it impact our affiliates?
I'm sorry, Pug, I couldn't.
How does this or does it at all affect our SCA affiliates?
It does not affect our affiliates.
Thank you. I just wanted that clarification. That's all.
Thank you, Bonnie. Thank you, Director Bainter. Is there anybody else that would like the floor? Director-elect Falcon?
What will be the relationship of this policy to special purpose funds?
If it's being spent for equipment or capital expenditures, it would fall under this approval.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Director Falcon, Director-elect Falcon. Anybody else? That was a great question. Anybody else? Okay, there being no further discussion, we'll advance this to a vote. All in favor of this new policy? Okay, all opposed? This new policy passes unanimously. Bonnie, back to you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. Commendations. I'd like to, I'm gonna butcher his name, Brandon Borowski. He's been Ethel Mark's exchequer through COVID. Thank you, Brandon, a million times over. And we have Ron that will be stepping up in a matter of days. We have scheduled their book review already for that change. And I also want to thank, we have so many volunteers, local exchequers that have continued to work without stopping for the last ever many COVID years they are. And I hope all their kingdoms appreciate them as much as I do. So everybody out there that's listening, thank you. I thank you from the bottom of my heart. I really do. Have no variances. General status report. We need to remain diligent through these times of natural disasters. We have so many people that want to donate to others. We must understand SCA funds cannot go to individuals. It can only go to other nonprofit organizations, such as, I'm just using them as an example, such as the Red Cross. So if they're having private fundraisers for our cousins in Florida, please keep those funds private so they can go to those individuals. But they can wave their banners where they're going to clean up and help anybody else that way. They can wave their banners when they're doing that. Publishable summary. It's so amazing to watch folks come together and be kind and generous to through these times of need. Training is always a priority. Anybody out there, if you need something, need training, questions on report, let us, Carolyn and I know, we'll set that training up. We have for the board, we do have some volunteers to re-up the financial committee to just report to the board. We'll be talking more about that at a future conference call meeting. And we just need to know from the board who they think should be the players on this, that committee. I have no travel plans at this time. And again, I thank everyone that's volunteering out there. Thank you all.
All right, very good. Thank you, Bonnie. Is there anybody that would like the floor to ask any questions or make any commentary? Okay. Bonnie, your report is accepted. We appreciate it. Just a quick note, y'all keep an eye out for fraud out there. John and I don't, in fact, need a gift card. So if you get an email along those lines, you know, Bonnie would appreciate it if you'd ignore that email. So, all right, very good. Then that brings us to the Laurel Queen of Arms, Jennifer.
Hi, thank you. I have a couple of requested board actions. A relatively short report for me this month. We're going to change GP3 of SCA, or Standards for Evaluation of Names in Armory. Our definition of period, we had earlier modified this back in October of last year to remove the restriction on Europe only, and we accidentally left a sentence in we intended to strike, which was the center of the Society of is Medieval and Renaissance Europe. We're taking that out because it's still relevant. This aligns it with the society governing documents. And then, pardon me for a second. I got the sickness this past weekend. We're also modifying the personal names conflict area. We did not previously allow people to register names that are too close to another name. Like if it's essentially the same name with the spelling variation, we don't allow you to register that. We didn't have a point for it. We actually are changing the rule now to allow the person who owns that name to register a spelling variation of their currently registered name, so they can have both. And I should have given you some examples and I didn't, but I apologize for that. But this allows somebody who wants it official, this is a spelling they like this other spelling too, to go ahead and be able to register both of those. So those are both changes to SCA.
Okay, thank you, Jennifer. Just so everybody knows, changes to SCA requires a board action, so that requires a motion. Does anybody have a motion for me? Would anybody like the floor? Director Bainter?
Yes, I would move that we accept these changes to SCA as presented by Laurel Sovereign of Arms.
Is there a second? Second by Director Shepard. Is there any discussion? Director Bainter?
How are you going to limit Daniel to Lincoln from spelling issues?
We still charge a registration fee, so as long as he wants to keep throwing us money, we do have a limitation of 10 names that you can register, 10.
Oh, thank you. Oh, yeah.
Very good. Any other questions or commentary before we move to a vote? There being none, we're going to move to a vote now. All in favor of these changes to SCA? Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Jennifer,
okay,
back to you.
Thank you. I have one policy interpretation, which is sort of policy interpretation. We did add a table to our list of alternate titles. We added alternate titles in Scots and Middle English, and we updated the English alternate titles, the title of it to say Early Modern English to distinguish it from Middle English. And we added some notes about we are not listing all variant spellings because there's a ton of them. Anything that you can document that's a variant spelling of something on our list, feel free to go ahead and use. And we are still always adding to these lists of alternate titles as people give us research. I don't have any new policies. Commendations, I had 2 Kingdom Heralds that stepped down recently that I'd like to commend both of them. Nicholas de Estley, I totally butchered that last name, I apologize, who's a Force Draken Principal Herald for Drakenwald, has been succeeded by Membrantia von der Linde, who will do a fantastic job. Eileen Johnston, Triskelly Principal Herald of Kingdom of Trimaris, recently stepped down just before the hurricane by Torin Sorev. And while the pandemic is still not entirely over, both of these individuals were serving during the most disruptive time of it and did a fantastic job keeping their kingdoms running and going. And my sincere thanks and appreciation for their hard work. Under a general status report, the number of kingdoms that are able to take PayPal or otherwise electronic payment for heraldic submissions continues to increase, which makes everybody happy. Everybody's not there yet, but we're working on it. I am nearly done with our new heraldic submission forms, which I'm hoping to send out by the end of the year. I mentioned them earlier. They will be removing information we don't need to collect, like we do not need to collect birth date or submitter gender. We're removing those from the forms entirely. The name forms are actually easier to fill out, and some other easier on submitter tweakable things. On a publishable summary, more events are always a good thing. More access to PayPal is a very good thing. We are already planning for our virtual Known Worlds Heralds and Scribes in January 2023. We're going to continue to hold this virtually because we find that it helps to connect people across the known world to be able to attend one of these events. We are already seeking bids to run virtual Known Worlds in 2024, if anyone's interested in doing that. Nearly all the kingdoms reported on time, and I'm not currently planning any travel outside my kingdom, but it's at least more likely now. So that's it.
Thank you. Very good. We appreciate that. Anybody have any commentary or questions? Great. All right. Your report is accepted, and we appreciate it very much. That has us moving on. The Society Marshal did not submit a report, so we'll be taking his report on the next conference call. That brings us to the Minister of Arts and Sciences. Sarah, you have the floor.
Good afternoon. Herein follows my 2022 third quarter report for the Society Minister of Arts and Sciences. Requested board actions, none currently. Policy interpretations. I wasn't quite sure if I should put the guidelines under policy interpretation or new policies. So I put them under new policies. Would you like me to read the guidelines for the recognition and approval for oral tradition in the arts and sciences?
Please.
It's 5 parts they've numbered just to keep it a little simpler. 1, above all, be courteous, respectful, and mindful of cultural sensitivities. Some of the cultures whose arts and sciences we're interested in recreating are present and in our contemporary world, and may have regulations and/or traditions within their culture regarding how, when, and by whom some of their arts and sciences may be demonstrated, performed, or used. 2, provenance. Specifying when and where information was collected, ideally including from whom and by whom. Citing an old story, legend, mythology, or folktale without specific provenance is not acceptable documentation. 3, evidence. Evidence of oral tradition for that culture prior to the 17th century. Consider the reputation of the source. Was the source known for accuracy or for exaggeration? 4, consider context. Is this information intended as an historical list of leaders, events, procedures, or items, or is it intended as an allegorical story? Consider the context of the original audience. Has the information been passed down through generations of tribal elders, or is it an uncorroborated story relayed only by a modern person? And 5, consistency with any known archaeological records or possibly corroborated by the traditions of neighboring peoples, and consistency with any existing academic approaches to the oral tradition. And that's the guidelines. At this point, I'll go on to commendations. Commendations sent in by various kingdoms, ministers of arts and sciences, and a couple of my own. I again commend all kingdom and local arts and sciences officers for their patience and constant adjustments as we continue into the world of in-person and hybrid activities. Commendations to Lady Erzsébet Falconeau of Ethelmark, who continues to supply the Royal Majesties with pottery for mugging gentles attending their first court. Commendations to Anstiora's Honorable Lady Rosa Diamano, Bardic Deputy for the Kingdom, for all of her hard work on the Performing Arts Symposium. It was her brainchild, and she worked with the other performance deputies, Lord Robin Carrot, Mistress Mifani, and Mistress Sima, to create an excellent event that was attended by members throughout Anstiora and beyond. Congratulations to Mistress Sima Bint Yusuf, winner of Kingdom Middle Eastern Dance Championship. Commendations to the following Artemisians who have been of exceptional assistance to their Kingdom Minister of Arts and Sciences. Mistress Galina Atwater, Mistress Vidoma, Magister Praxilla Turina, Baroness Helena Bocardi, and Baroness Rumit Altiaba. Congratulations to Eidenvelt's Sir Kel Robinson, who was declared champion of their Royal Majesties Mark and Katrina, and Master Joseph of Loxley, who was chosen as Bard of the Sun. Commendations to Atlantea's Mistress Jean Kilmeny, who has done an excellent job in her first months as the new Chancellor of the University, and to Master Hagar the Black, who continues to be an exemplary contests deputy. Congratulations to Avakal's new Arts and Sciences champion, Mistress Corin of the Woods, and their new Bardi champion, Lady Thisbe. Commendation to my Sterny Wilha de Gotha for her service as Caid's Kingdom Minister of Arts and Sciences. Congratulations to the Callantir for their successful Kingdom Arts and Sciences event with an increased number of championship entries. Commendations to Dame Sarah de la Petra for her service as Glenaubyn's Kingdom Minister of Arts and Sciences. Congratulations to Lord Dietrich Lehr in Lockett, who was chosen as Enelgard's next ANS champion. Congratulations to everyone who made Royal University of Meridies a success. Commendations to the Middle Kingdom laureates, Sari Tyndall Sogolino and Aveline de Xersbach. Both did well as ANS Warpoint Generals at Pennsic. Congratulations to Graf Eon in the Outlands, who created a functional coracle to enter in the Lily's boat race. To Lady Aster Yilgar, who represented the kingdom at Pennsic in the Arts and Sciences competition with a full Italian outfit, and to the Queen's Prize tourney winner, Lady Drogoslava, who made a fantastic illumination of a squirrel on parchment with handmade paints. Commendations to the Shire of Blackwater Keep in the Kingdom of Outlands, who entered 2 county fairs and came in 3rd at 1 fair. Commendations to several gentles and trimaris, to Honorable Lord or Lady, I'm not sure which, Evelyn, who did a fantastic job as TRU Chancellor during her 2-year tenure. Honorable Lady Brianna and Lady Inga, who've been ardent players of the Do the Thing challenges and are walking artistic inspirations. To Countess Dulcia for helping administer the Banner Symposium. To the Honorable Lord Philip de Argentian, who has been imperative to expo setup and breakdown at Kingdom events. Congratulations to West Kingdom ladies Rue Payne from the Principality of the Mists, Thorkatla Yinga's daughter from Principality of Sinagua, and Canari Campestre from the Principality of Oethra, for each having remarkably active season of ANS competitions and displays across this quarter. Also, congratulations to Wreath of Athena Arts and Sciences competition winner, Sir William Ulfson, with a hoard of woven textiles. And I offer special commendations to those individuals who provided guidance, wording, and constructive review of the guidelines for the recognition and approval of oral tradition in the arts and sciences. I deeply appreciate the time and expertise you so generously shared. My publishable summary: the Society for Creative Anachronism continues to fulfill its mission to research and recreate the arts and sciences and skills of the pre-17th century world. The third quarter has seen a continued return to more in-person activities, including arts and sciences classes, competitions, and displays at Pennsic, several Kingdom competitions, and Kingdom Arts and Sciences fairs, some online and hybrid ANS activities, including universities, displays, and classes have continued, though to a lesser extent now that there are increasingly more in-person opportunities. Kingdom and local officers successfully continue to update the ways in which we do arts and sciences activities, including working toward reinvigorating and reformatting traditional A&S activities and displays and returning to more in-person activities. Responses to the new guidelines for the recognition and approval of oral tradition in the arts and sciences have been overwhelmingly ones of appreciation and enthusiasm. Those guidelines may be viewed online. The Society Minister for Arts and Sciences has an official Facebook presence. that is fairly easy to find and open to the public. The page allows members to receive information about arts and sciences throughout the known world and encourages them to share their own projects, promote other artisans, and connect with others who share their interests. As Society Officer, I'm continuing outreach to the Kingdom officers to help encourage and support officers all the way from Kingdom level down through branch officers and various other volunteers. I strive to maintain an email response time to warranted officers of no more than 48 hours, except for when I'm away at in-person events now that we're doing those, during storms and when responsibilities, when the response time may be within 48 hours of my return home or the return of internet service. Lots of good things going on, arts and sciences wise, in the known world. Travel, there were no travel expenses during this period, and thus concludes my 2022 third quarter report.
Thank you, Sarah. I have a note here. Sorry, wait, just 1 second. I have a note here. When I read your report, I saw that you had published this new policy. It's available on the website, the SCA website, under your office, and it's also been discussed. I need to ask the directors here if we have a motion to uphold or deny this policy as published. Or Director Fulton, or sorry, President Fulton.
Thank you. Yeah. So Sarah, I guess, is this a guideline? Does it exist in a handbook anywhere?
As far as the handbook goes, I'm not aware of us putting it into a handbook, but there were a lot of questions coming in, and I felt it was important to respond to this quickly.
So this is a clarification. This is our guidelines, not policies, correct?
Correct. I put it under the incorrect heading for my report.
Thank you. Yeah, because I think that means that this is guidelines. It doesn't affect the board to approve it because it really isn't a policy, and it's just general assistance for people to understand what's going on. Does that help, Director Regner?
It does, yeah. So traditionally, you're saying we wouldn't need to support anything like this or deny it unless it was put in a handbook as official policy.
As a policy, and as such, it needs to reside somewhere. And this is just the officer putting out guidelines for people on how to be nice to each other, which I think is a darn good thing to do, but probably within the purview of the office.
Okay, very good. In that case, I guess we don't need a motion. All right, would anybody like the floor for commentary or question? All right, Sarah, thank you for your report. It is accepted. And moving on to the next item, standing committees. We have 2, peerage and census, with no report, so there's nothing to discuss there. That has me turning it over to Leslie for reading. No, sorry, Leslie.
Louise for correspondence.
Louise for correspondence.
Yes, just as a note under correspondence, we are in receipt of a proposed amendment to the SCA Australia and New Zealand affiliate agreements. And this is being forwarded to President Fulton for response.
Oh, yes. Actually, kind of I believe Director Lloyd will be replying to that correspondence question. Thank you.
Thank you.
Leslie?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to present the notations for your executive session. Executive session was opened on Saturday, October 15th, 2022 at 11:04 a.m. Central Time. It was adjourned for a final time at 4:01 p.m. Central Time. Barry Branch, motion by Aaron Lloyd to revoke the membership of and deny participation to Barry Branch, effective immediately. Second by Natalie Dagerstrom, opposed none, motion carried. Armand Garcia, motion by Puck Painter to revoke the membership of and deny participation to Armand Garcia, effective immediately. Second by KT Shepard, opposed none, motion carried. Christopher Irvins, motion by KT Shepard to revoke the membership of and deny participation to Christopher Ivins. I'm sorry, it's IVINS, so I guess it's Ivins. Effective immediately. Second by Natalie Dagerstrom, opposed none. Motion carried. The chair exercised his option to vote and did so in favor of the motion. And I apologize to everybody. I live in the land of many allergies, so I get hoarse. Sharon Rose Kotig. Motion by Aaron Lloyd to revoke the membership of and deny participation to Sharon Rose Kotig, effective immediately. Second by Jennifer Krochmal, opposed none, motion carried. Bill Mestretti, Director KT Shepard recused himself from discussion of or voting on this matter. Motion by Jennifer Krochmal to revoke the membership of and deny participation to Bill Mestretti, effective immediately. Second by Aaron Lloyd, opposed none, recused KT Shepard. Chair exercised his option to vote, did so in favor of the motion, motion carried. Barrett Russell Spangler, motion by KT Shepard to revoke the membership of and deny participation to Barrett Russell Spangler, effective immediately. Second by Jennifer Krochmal, opposed none, motion carried. Robert Frazier, motion by Aaron Lloyd to uphold the temporary removal from participation in the Society of Robert Frazier as issued by Ianois, I believe is how you pronounce that, and Ionic, Crown of the East Kingdom, and I apologize if I butchered that, and their Kingdom Seneschal on April 9th, 2022. And further, to lift the temporary removal from participation. At the conclusion of this meeting, it is further moved to direct Society Seneschal to issue a letter of censure to Mr. Frazier. Second by Natalie Dagerstrom, in favor Pug Bainter, Natalie Dagerstrom, Aaron Lloyd, KT Shepard, opposed Jennifer Dagerstrom, motion carried. Chris Bryant, motion by Jennifer Krochmal to deny the appeal request of Chris Bryant. Second by KT Shepard, opposed none, motion carried. Coe Lee Colson, motion by Puck Banger to direct the Society Seneschal to issue a temporary removal from participation in the Society to Coe Lee Colson, and to further direct the Society Seneschal to begin an investigation into possible sanctions up to and including revocation of membership and denial of participation. Second by Aaron Lloyd, opposed none. Chair exercised his option to vote and did so in favor of the motion, motion carried. Financial and budgetary questions, by consensus, the report of the corporate treasurer was accepted as presented. Legal updates, by consensus, the report of in-house counsel was accepted as presented. Society Seneschal, discussion of confidential matters. By consensus, the report of the Society Seneschal was accepted as presented. October 16th, 2022, subsidiaries, action by written consent. All actions for subsidiaries of the Society for Creative Anachronism Incorporated are accepted by consensus. Director resignation. By consensus, the resignation of Natalie Dagerstrom from the Board of Directors for the Society for Creative Anachronism is accepted effective at the close of the October 16th, 2022 quarterly meeting. Director appointment by consensus. Mark Falcon is appointed to seat G on the Board of Directors for the Society for Creative Anachronism, effective at the close of the October 16th, 2022 quarterly meeting. Director selection, seat A, by consensus, no action was taken. Director selection, seat D, by consensus, no action was taken. Chair assignment, by consensus, no action was taken. Vice chair assignment, by consensus, no action was taken. Ombudsman assignments. Chair Ross Rogner, Ombudsman 4, President, Society Seneschal Corporate Office, Executive Assistant, Financial Officers, Financial Committee, Board Recruiting, and Census Committee. Vice Chair Pug Boehner, Ombudsman for Heralds East, Kaid West. Director Mark Falcon. Ombudsman for Atlantia, Aidenbelt, Meridies, Middle, Marshall, and the Publications Team. Director Jennifer Crockmall, Ombudsman for Calentier, North Shield, Outlands, the Communications Committee, and the Information Technology Team, including the Webminister and Webmaster. Director Aaron Lloyd, Ombudsman for Ethelmark, Artemisia, ANS, Avical, Dragonbald, Eldemir, Locock, and DEI. Director KT Shepard, Ombudsman for Ontier, Anstiora, Glenavon, Trimaris, and the Peerage Committees. Seat D is currently empty. And that concludes your executive session agenda minutes.
Thank you, Leslie. And I just have one quick point of order. I believe on item G, Robert Fraser, you said opposed Jennifer Degerstrom. I think it was Jennifer Crockmall. Just wanted to. It's quite all right. I just wanted to make sure that we, noted that correctly. All right. Unless there is anybody requesting the floor for discussion, I believe it would be appropriate for a director to make a motion to adjourn. Director Degerstrom.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to move to adjourn for the very last time.
So moved. Is there a second? Seconded by Director Shepard. All in favor?
Natalie!
All right. By consensus, we're adjourned. We will miss you.
I'll miss you in maybe a month. Give me a month.
Lots of stuff.
Bye, everybody.
To do.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for coming.